Hey there to all you rebellious souls out there. It is great to have you here. I'm truly excited to inspire you again today, and I hope that this podcast episode will ignite a new fire within you. So enjoy, and you know what? Feel free to reach out if I can support you in any way. Have a good one. Hi everyone, welcome again to another episode of the Raw, Real, and Rebellious podcast. I actually just moved house again. I think this was my 20th move ever in my life. So I know a little bit about, change and having to reground, etc., etc. And it got me thinking about how important it is to feel at home somewhere. To feel safe, to feel trusted. And, it's not that different when it comes to personal branding. When it comes to your personal brand, what it is that we do, what we're passionate about, is something that we want to help people with. But we cannot just help those people if they don't trust us to be the right person to guide them, right? So whether you're a coach or you're a designer, maybe you're a painter, maybe you're a car mechanic, it doesn't really matter what it is that you do. In any case, you want people to feel safe and trusted and at home so that they can relax, knowing that you're actually going to help them, that you're going to fix a problem for them. And this means that you, as the leader, the service provider, the coach, the specialist, the expert, the one that they're giving money to, it means that you need to create a space where they feel safe. And obviously, this doesn't have to do with a physical space per se. I mean, it's great when you have an office or a place where you can receive people and it feels cozy and it feels really on brand. That's amazing. But it's very much more about them trusting you and feeling at home with you as a person. I mean, what I do is personal branding, so I will now specifically relate this to, who we are as a person, how we can create a feeling of, homeliness with the people that we interact with. And the great thing is that these qualities that we can develop within ourselves to create that safety, to create that security for others, is not just something that we do with clients, isn't it? It's something that we can develop to do with any people that we interact with. So it could be our family members, it could be our friends, it could be our partners. And to be able to make people feel at home, I really believe that first and foremost, we need to make sure that we are in a good frame of mind. So you and me both. We need to feel good with ourselves. So you need to feel good with you, because when you are relaxed and you feel confident and you're excited about what you do, chances are that your audience and your potential clients will open up to the idea of working with you even more. And the same goes, obviously, for the people that you meet in your private life. If you're relaxed within yourself and you feel at home and safe with yourself, then chances are that people will open up a lot more to authentically connect with you, because you will not connect with them from a place of neediness, but from a place of genuine interest in them, and the other way around, obviously. This is a vice versa thing. So this is why I personally believe that it's so important that we first feel at home with ourselves. And yes, our physical space can actually help with that as well. And that's something that I was just thinking about as I was walking through my new neighborhood, how important it is that our physical bodies that we feel at home in our physical bodies, but the extension of that, so the environment that we're in, the home that we live in, the office that we work in, but also the neighborhood that we live in. For me, it's crucial. That's why I always start exploring new neighborhoods very early on, so that I know where I'm basically where I am living. So what does this mean to feel at home with ourselves? Well, it means that we're grounded emotionally as well. It means that we find ways to recenter ourselves even in times of chaos. So for example, me moving these past few weeks, gosh, that was a lot of chaos. So for weeks I was living between boxes, and I had to go from my old place to my new place to make sure that everything was, fixed on time for the move, and I needed to paint, and well, you know the deal. And that kind of created a lot of chaos. And that's not necessarily a bad thing if you know how to recenter yourself while you're in that, in the mess, in the struggle, because we all go through struggle, whether it's a move, which is one of the basic pillars in our life, to live somewhere, to have a roof over our head. It's a pillar. But it could also be that, there's some trouble in your relationship or health-wise or whatever. So the question is, can you re-ground yourself emotionally at times, even when you're going through some stuff? That's one of the ways that you can feel at home with yourself again. So what I personally do is I do rituals. It helps me to ground myself. I love to meditate a little bit. I love to ask my oracle cards for help. I have a number of them. Or I dance, because dancing makes me reconnect with my body. Or yeah, I light some incense. I do a lot of things to ground myself and to really go into ritual, and I can do that for a couple of hours so that I won't have to worry about anything else but just be with me at that moment. I chant, I sing, there's so many beautiful things. That's one way to reground. Another way is to know that, and to feel at home with yourself, is to feel fit, or at least take care of your physical well-being. I mean, feeling fit, not everyone has the luxury of health all the time. So, even if you have a chronic illness or whatever, I do believe that taking care of ourselves in the best way that we can, of our physical well-being, will definitely have a big influence on us feeling at home in ourselves. I've noticed that during the COVID lockdown, and we're slowly getting out of it right now. I mean, things are opening up a little bit again. I've noticed how being stuck inside and not being able to go to the gym really influenced me and how I felt physically. So obviously I eat really healthily. For me, that's really important. I took a lot of walks, but I missed consciously working on my body and keeping it strong. And the problem is, of course, that I could have gone outside and probably done some workouts outside, and still I didn't do it. For me, it's that to know that I'm going to a specific place where there's all this equipment. That worked a lot better, and I'm really happy that this is possible again, because I'm noticing the difference immediately. I feel so much stronger and more confident, because my hormonal state in my body is changing, through my workouts. We all have different ways of doing that and taking care of ourselves. I mean, for some it's cycling, for others it's walking or hiking, or it's different for everyone. So the question is, what is going to work for you to feel physically as good as you can? Now, what also helps us feel at home with ourselves is when we know what we're talking about. So for yourself, this is good for you, know that what you're talking about, that you studied a certain subject or expertise, is going to help you to feel really grounded when you're, for example, doing a video, when you're doing a workshop, when you're talking to a potential client one-to-one. All of this is going to help you. If you know what you're talking about and you're not entirely new to this stuff, it's going to help you to feel really good while you're serving your clients. Now, I know that sometimes we don't have that proof yet of knowing what we're talking about, because we're going to do something new. But you know what? I would always suggest that you're honest about that, and to maybe do like a test run. So when you're doing something new, maybe have a few trials, do a few pilots with people, and offer them this for free or at a lower price so that you can start to feel grounded in that new topic, in that new area for you, or in a new method. Any new product that I launch, I will always test it first, for example, so that I will feel good with it and I feel more at home in it. Yeah. So, and then also when we communicate, another way of feeling at home with ourselves is when we communicate with words and in a body language that serves both us as well as the receiver. So I will talk a little bit more about that later on, but I always feel really good when I know that I'm using the words that fit me, but when I also know that the words are resonating with the other. So this is important for me because then that way I know that I'm not just on some kind of me show, where I'm just sending what I want to send, but I know actually that I'm serving. So that focus on serving is actually what I'm talking about here. To know that what I do is serving, that makes me feel grounded within myself. And that's a few ways that I just talked about how you can feel at home with yourselves. Now let's get really clear on how you can do this. How can you create that sense of feeling at home even more? And I just mentioned a few examples already, with the rituals, for example. But I would recommend, and you might want to write this down, by the way, is to have a really clear vision. You can feel at home with yourself, but how do you do that? Like, can you practically get there? So I would say have a clear vision, because when you know where you're going, when you know what you're talking about, people will feel that determination and they will feel safe. So I would definitely say have a clear vision, know where you're going, know where you want to take your business and your brand, so that, you feel confident that you will have a clear direction. And you can do this by taking responsibility for your own well-being. I just talked about that a little bit more, at least find a way that makes you feel fit. So don't just push through even when it's not your physical well-being. I was just talking about feeling physically fit, but also take care of your well-being on an emotional level. So don't just push through when you're tired and exhausted, but also take time to sharpen the saw. It's not just about full-on working all the time and building the brand. No, you really got to take care of you, all of you, physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually. So I would also recommend that you take care of your physical space, your body, and the work environment. And of course, this is the reason why I'm doing this podcast in the first place, because I got inspired while taking a walk in my new neighborhood. And it's one of my habits is to always make sure that if I want to feel at home, that I nourish all of my senses. So I feel at home when I have my cup of tea. So my taste buds. When I have some nice, really good cup of tea, by the way. I will feel at home when in the morning, I can drink my luxurious cup of cappuccino with foamed oat milk, actually. That's one of the things that make me feel that I'm in my own space, to have that ritual of that coffee ritual in the morning. It means that I love it when my space smells nice. One of the first things I did was I smudged my house. Now, I know that not everyone is into smudging and it sounds a little bit woo-woo maybe, but it doesn't really matter to me if it's real or not. For me, it matters that when I burn some sage, it smells amazing. Or when I burn incense in my home, it smells really luscious and I feel myself relax because it becomes my place. Now, especially this last week, I moved in on Saturday. Now, as I'm recording this podcast, it's Friday. So I've been here for almost a week. And the first few days, it didn't smell like my place. It was still new. It was still a little bit weird. So I was like, how am I going to ground myself here? How am I going to make sure that this becomes my new home where I can work and I can do my magic and I can actually serve? I can serve the world. And that's why I started burning incense almost straight away because I needed it to smell like my place. And one of the things that my friends always tell me when they come into my home, at least in my old home, they always told me that, oh, it smells so nice here, you know? So that's how I take care of my physical space, with making sure that there's tea waiting for me, that I have my rituals, that it smells nice, and obviously that it looks nice. So if you've checked out my website and my both of my websites actually and my Instagram feed, and I invite you to do so, you can see that there's a number of colors that are more, yeah, emphasized than other colors. And that's green, red, and orange. Now, these are all my brand colors, but it just so happens that I absolutely love these colors as well. So it's not that I chose these colors because I like it. I chose the colors because of there's a branding strategy behind it, and it's about my audience, obviously. But it just so happens that I love them, and in my house, these are the colors that you will see as well. So it's a very consistent branding, actually, that I live in my brand kind of, without it feeling like I'm in a workspace all the time. It's very, very homely. So one of the, I think it was on day one that my home was already done. I moved in on Saturday, and obviously I'd painted before that, but all the paintings, it was all done on the very same day. So it looks like a home to me. So yeah, for me, this is really important, that it looks homely and nice with the right colors, and that everything is neat and tidy, but not too much. And I love playing music so that my ears are tickled. So this is obviously what influences how I feel in that space. So I want it to be nice in terms of temperature, obviously, and how I feel emotionally in that space. So basically, I just went through all of our senses and how that influences how we feel in a certain environment. So I invite you to look at your space and how you can nourish all of your senses so that your taste buds are tickled, maybe that you listen to some music that puts you in a nice frame of mind. And think of different smells, scents to make the space, to make you feel at home, so that you feel at home. Because what happens is that when you feel so at home and good in your own space, that's gonna have an influence on how you feel on the inside. It's literally going to help you relax and feel safe, and therefore everything can flow again. So all the tension can just go. It will do something literally with your bodies. Your shoulders will relax. There will be that smile on your face. And then when you start doing your branding, when you do that online workshop, when you do that one-to-one call with a prospect, when you record videos for whatever it is that you're doing, when you start writing that blog post, or that article, you're in the right frame of mind because you've taken care of yourself, your body, and the physical space in it, because you feel at home. Now, this is all, creating the foundation to make them feel at home. And then there's obviously some things that you can do in the way that you show up. So how can you make them feel more at home? What can you do? I'm going to give you a few tips here as well. Again, write them down. So what I would definitely say, what makes people feel safe and secure with you, is when you educate them and you share what you know. Obviously, you don't want to give them free advice all the time. You want to limit this some way, but remember this. In 1 hour of talking to you, it is impossible for you to educate them and teach them what you know, what you've built up in, well, maybe decades. I don't know your age, obviously, but in so many years of experience, you could never summarize that in 1 hour. So if you've talked to someone for 1 hour or you're doing a workshop, just give, give, give. You don't have to worry that you're giving it all away for free. It won't happen. It's impossible in an hour. So don't limit yourself. Really show that you know what you're talking about so that people feel secure about your knowledge and so that they can actually make an educated decision. And please also know that decision making doesn't happen overnight. So for people to feel at home with you, it might take some time. It takes time for people to get to know you. And this means that you need to keep showing up. Give them that space to get to know you. Give them the time. It's about, making yourself available and visible especially. And, just keep sharing from the heart. Keep sharing what you know on social media or in your products and whatever it is that you do in your whole marketing. Keep showing up and trust that the right people will want to get the real thing. They don't just want the social media posts or the podcast episodes. The people who genuinely want to work with you, they will contact you, and you want to give them that space and the availability as well. So it's not just about not doing anything and just laying back. No, it's not about that, but about giving them the time and space. So another way what could really help in how you show up and making them feel at home is to really listen. Listen with full attention. Be human. Don't be a robot following a script or something, but genuinely be interested in their struggles and in what they're going through or where they're at and what they're really good at. Because when you listen to their wording, you can listen to their wording and the content, and you can learn to speak their language so that they feel like, hey, this person is really understanding me. They're really getting me because you speak their language. And that means that you need to listen to what they're saying and repeat their words, not because it's a trick, but because you want to show that you understand them. So, and this is, for example, when you're talking to them one-to-one. But when you're doing a video or you're doing other kinds of meetings and people actually see you, this could be on the first one that I was talking about listening, that could be on the phone as well. But when people see you, then look at your body language as well. I would recommend that you make sure that it's open, that you have an open body, that your shoulders are straight and not that you're leaning forward as if you're not confident, for example. So make sure that you have an open body and that you use certainty in your hand gestures. So there's different ways of using hand gestures, obviously, but a certain level of confidence is very, very attractive to people, and it helps people to feel at home and to feel safe, to know that, hey, I'm in the right hands here. And I know we're talking about hand gestures, but anyway. And that could be, you could do that in different ways. So making certain movements with your hands, and it's a little bit difficult for me now because this is a podcast and I cannot show you what I'm doing, even though I'm making the gestures right now. I would invite you to check out my Instagram TV, actually, because it's been a while, but I talked about hand gestures in a video. So you might find it on my Instagram feed. Anyway. So that is another way, using hand gestures, looking at your body language and let it be open. And then finally, I would like to invite you to learn to play with the tonality of your voice. I love how our voice has it's such a beautiful tool to keep people engaged. I mean, sometimes, honestly, I listen to podcasts or interviews or I talk to people and they're very monotonous. It takes up a lot of my energy to stay focused with what they're sharing. And that has to do with the tonality of their voice. Now, we can learn to play with that. And I invite you to do that. So that means that you can use different heights in your tone. And it also means that you can play with the rhythm. And sometimes you want to speed it up a little bit more, and sometimes you actually want to slow it down. And you can hear in the way that I'm speaking that I'm applying this as we speak. And as you can hear now, I'm thinking about what I'm going to say next. And I'm taking a little bit of a pause so that you can let it sink in a little bit. And actually, that pause, or me thinking about what I'm going to say next, is very powerful, because not just for them, because they actually, you as a listener, or they as your listeners, they can actually, just process what you're saying, but also because it's very real. I mean, in our daily life, when we're talking to our friends, you don't just know everything what you're going to say. Sometimes you want to think a little bit, and just to come up with the right words. It's not that you don't know what you're going to say, but you really you're present with your message. You're present with what you're trying to convey, and so you want to consciously take time to find the right words. So play with that, because that makes people feel like you're truly present with them, because your voice is showing your excitement, it's showing your clarity, it's showing the confidence. Your voice is showing that you're actually present with them and that you're thinking about what's right in that moment. Oh man, I could talk about this for hours. I don't even know how long I've been talking right now in this podcast. But I'm gonna come to a close now. And everything else that I could talk about is something for a new episode. But let me conclude with this. Creating safety is essential in every collaboration, whether it's a partnership in business or it's a partnership in romance. We all want to feel safe. And please remember that when it comes to your clients, every yes means that they're placing trust in you with the money that they worked so hard for every day. So please honor that, honor that trust. And, this is how you're making a living as well. So honor your personal brand, because it's like a home. Become that home, become that safe haven, establish that trust. And yes, it starts with you, your personal brand. If you need any support to really dive in deep into your personal brand, into your message specifically, that's what I specialize in, into the way that you express yourself, and your, feeling that you're really connected to the right energy and the right archetypes within yourself, I'm so, so happy to support you. So please contact me. You can find my contact details on my website, beabrandrebel.com. And obviously everything that you need is also in the show notes, or not this specific show, but it will be in the main trailer. Everything will be in there. So you know what? I will put it in the show notes as well. Just as easy. Anyway, loves, I hope that you'll have an amazing day and make magic in making people feel more at home. Ciao, ciao. Thank you so much for listening, and I really hope that you enjoyed this episode. If you're hungry for more, please check out my Brand Rebel app in the App or Play Store. It's very easy. Just type in Brand Rebel and you'll find it. It's free and it's fun. For now, have a magical day. Stay raw, stay real, stay rebelicious.